Okay, I'm going to do this little part that's right here on top of the knob, above the knob. So in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and zoom on the knob right here, just with the knob selected. Then I will right click out here off to the side and I will select Hide Unselected. That will hide everything else in the scene that's not the knob. That way I can just, so in order to pull this off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, this is kind of a unique technique that I didn't do in any of the other projects because none of them had this kind of bizarre thing happening right here. But I'm going to use an operation called Boolean to pull this off. So I'm going to switch to the front viewport just for a moment and kind of zoom in on this. And I want to create standard primitives. I want to create a tube. So I'm going to click right here from the middle. And I'm sorry, my tube is coming out currently with just 4 sides. And let me switch to the Modify tab. And let me increase those sides to like 36. And I'm going to turn the skins off. There is my tube that I've put in there. And I'm going to get the Move tool, and I want to center this tube right on the button. So I'm centering my tube, centering it right on the button. And then I want to adjust these outer radius and inner radiuses. I want to make the outer radius extend out beyond the button. And I'd like the inner radius to just be where I could see the, I still want to see a little bit of the yellow right there. I want to see a little bit of the yellow. And then here's where the magic comes into play. I'm going to turn on this thing called slice, and I'm going to slice it from 20 degrees to 340 degrees. And when I do this slice, I'm going to change the number of sides to 4. And if I were to turn on wireframe now, I'm going to see that, okay, this has got the right shape. I'm in the front viewport. Let me switch back to perspective. And because it's been bothering me, I'm just going to turn on default shading and cut off clay. Now, when I create this object now, because originally the tube itself would have had its pivot point right in the center of the tube, but I'm only keeping a part of the tube. So I'm going to switch to the Hierarchy tab, and I'm going to click on Effect Pivot Only, and I'm going to tell the pivot to center to the object. That's going to move the pivot into the center of that tube that I created. Then I'll turn off Effect Pivot Only and switch to the Modify tab. And what do they call this? I'll call it Knob Window. It's the knob window. And its height segments, I can bring those down to 1. I don't need all those details on the height segments. I need 4 sides, slicing from 20 degrees to 340 degrees. The height, I want to make the height a bit bigger. And then I want to move this thing up and into the parent object. Now, looking at this thing, I need to have it thicker than the whole object. I need it to be sticking out of the back completely, and I need it to be sticking out of the front completely. I want to make sure that this object is going through on both sides. It's sticking out on both sides. All right. And I'm pretty happy with that. Now, this first piece, I'm going to do this in 2 stages. This first piece I'm going to use to cut out the spot that I'm going to fit something into. So I'm going to hold my Shift key down. I'm going to make out a copy here. I just want to make it a copy. And this one I'm going to call the knob window. And I'm going to click back on this original one, and instead of calling it knob window, I'm going to call it cut out, because it's the piece that I'm actually going to use to cut out the space in this knob window. So here's how this is going to work. I got the knob selected. I've got the cutout set above. I've made sure that the cutout fits so that it's like sticking through on both sides of the knob. I'm going to use this cutout to cut part of the knob out. So to do this, I will switch on the Create tab. I will switch from standard primitives to compound objects, and I'm going to select the creation tool called Boolean. And the Boolean operation, there's different kinds of operations that I can do here. Right now, the default is union. That would make the two pieces become one. That's not what I want to have happen. I want to subtract. I want this first piece to subtract out from it this second piece. I want to take away what's in that second piece. So by selecting subtract, I can now add operands. I'll click on add operands, and I will click this first box. And as you can see, be careful, don't keep on clicking. I've cut that shape out very nicely. Now I'm going to switch to the modify tab. That ends, basically, it ends the creation tool. And now I'm going to go grab this piece, which I'm going to use now, move it into place. And this one I want to actually, try to get it so that it lines up very nicely with surfaces here. So if I switch to my left viewport and zoom in on all this stuff, and again, I'm thinking about the part that I really want to line up is in the front viewport. And so I'm going to line this up so it lines up in the front viewport. I'm not going to worry about the overhang in the back because all that's going to be hidden inside of the TV. All right, so I've got that into position now. It's where I want it at. Let me do a quick render here and see how it's looking. Make sure I don't have any unexpected. Yeah, no, we're good. I'm happy with it. All right. So I need to create this space that's in here. So this thing right now, it's a tube. Well, I need to make the tube go away. So I'm going to right click the tube and I'm going to change it into an editable poly. And now it is an editable poly. And I'm going to select these 4 polygons right here on the front face. I want to make sure I've only got 4 polygons selected. And I'm going to click on the inset menu and zero out the tool because an entire centimeter was too much. But 0.6 centimeters, 0.06 centimeters, that actually looks pretty nice. Might even go 0.07 or maybe 0.08 centimeters, a little thicker is okay. I'll click the green check mark to check that. Then I'm going to click on the extrude tool. And of course, extruding out is not what I want to do. I want to extrude in. This means I need to have a negative value here. And I think about like a negative 0.6. That looks pretty good. Sinks that in there quite nicely. I'll click the little green check mark here on that. Let me Control Z that. I think it went too deep. Open up the menu again. Let's go with 0.4. Let me see how I feel about that. Yeah, I think 0.4 would be better. All right. Now I'm going to get on the edges here. I notice the edges of all around are kind of rounded. So if you click one edge and then double click, you're going to get all the edges around. Hold down my Control key, click, double click, and I get all the edges around there. And then I'm going to click the chamfer tool and set the number of segments to like 3. And then I'm going to zero out the tool and then slowly work my way up. Looks like 0.04 is going to be just about fine. And that does round those edges there nicely. All right, so I got those edges there rounded nicely. And so the last thing I'm going to do here is, with this particular object, is I want to create selection sets. At the moment, it's got those 4 polygons back there in the back, which I definitely want to call white. That's the color that they're painted. They're painted white. And then everything else about this thing, I'm going to go Edit, Select Invert. That gets all the rest, and I'm just going to call that yellow. It's going to get painted yellow. Grab my material editor, M key, and let's see. That's the gold metal. This is the gold So that's the one I want to apply to that. Change my selection set to white. Let's see. That's the checker map. This must be the one, I didn't give it a name, but it's the one that I'm calling white. And now if I hit, there we go. Kind of matches. Now the edges here, they're sticking out. I can see some shadows here I didn't expect to get. So let me see if I can make that stuff go away. Let's see here. Let me get the scale tool and let me just scale the whole thing up. Oops. And not just those polygons. I mean the whole thing. There, I scaled the whole thing up. Just a little bit, scaled the whole thing up. And looks pretty good. I am sticking up a little bit out of the object. Let me move back some. And let me see here how it's looking. Yeah. All right. I'm pretty happy with that. Switch to a left view. Well, I'm just going to accept it the way that it is. Be happy with it. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just has to be close. And that's giving me the region that I need. So I'll stop this video for now, and then I'll come back in a moment and I will put the number in.